All right, which is good because we don't need to hear all that reading stuff anyway. So, who wrote the Fihrist and what do we know about that person? Well, let's go to the text. Ibn al-Nadim was a bookseller in Baghdad, the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate at the end of the 10th century. So boom, there's already the answer to number one. Who wrote the Fihrist? Ibn al-Nadim. And the spelling is right there in front of your face. And what do we know about this person? Well, he was a bookseller in Baghdad, and Baghdad happened to be the capital city of the Abbasid Caliphate in the 10th century, which means the 900s. So you could copy that whole first sentence and paste it. He is most known for his book called The Fihrist. It's a bibliography, which is a list of books. That's what a bibliography is, chronicling what was in his bookstore. He made notes about some of the books and put them into categories. Here's an English translation of the table of contents from the Fihrist. Okay, so question number 2 asks us to look at this table of contents. What information did people living in Baghdad in the 10th century have access to? So take a moment to study this table of contents over here. What were people interested in? Because this is his library. Or I should say his bookstore. Okay, what were the people in Baghdad interested in? Because if you're a bookstore, your idea is to sell books. Well, you're going to stock your bookstore with books that people are going to buy. Well, how do you determine what people are going to buy? Well, you ask them. So what were people in Baghdad most likely to buy? Anyone in Cyberland? What subjects were they interested in, according to looking at this table of contents?
Mathematics and astronomy.
Very good. Mathematics and astronomy. What else were they interested in?
Philosophy.
Philosophy, particularly from where?
Greek.
From Greece. They were very, very interested in Greek philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, Socrates, Hippocrates. Okay, and of course, what else were they really interested in?
Medicine.
Medicine. So there you go. For number 2, well, the people of Baghdad were interested in philosophy, particularly Greek philosophers, math, astronomy, medicine. I like this one here. Exorcists, jugglers, and magicians. I like how that's all in the same category. So people who create magic, people who can juggle things, and people who rid the demons in your soul. I just find that funny that was all in the same book section. All right, and then what places did that information come from? We already said one of them, Greece. So there's 2 parts to the number 2, folks. You're listing the subjects, and then where'd they come from? Greece. You see any other countries on there where they came from?
Islamic.
Well, they're in. So Islamic is a religion, right? So it wouldn't come from Islam. Like Islam is a religion.
India, China.
India, China, Indochina. Okay, so you see down here, information about India, Indochina, China. We know it came from Greece because we like the Greek philosophers. All right, good. That answers number 2. See how simple it is when you read? Now, number 3 and 4 get a little more, these are kind of like gimme answers. These were easy. You just have to look and it shows you what it is, right? 3 and 4 are going to require us to think a little bit more about what we're about to read. So I'm going to read it. What we're looking for here is based on the quote from the Fihrist at the end of this passage. How did al-Mamun, is how you say that, al-Mamun, obtain Greek manuscripts? So this is a Muslim obtaining Greek manuscripts for translation into Arabic. So let's figure out how he did that. So in chapter 7, section 1 of the Fihrist, this is a book written by Ibn al-Nadim, tells a story about a dream. Now this is about a dream that the Caliph al-Mamun, a caliph is basically a ruler of Islam, a ruler of a Muslim area. That's called a caliph. Okay, so like in England, we call that a king. all right, a monarch. This is a caliph. It is a ruler, a leader in the Muslim world, okay? And this particular caliph, Al-Mamun, was the ruler of the Abbasid dynasty from 813 to 833, so really for only a period of 20 years. So had in which Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, speaks with him. So in his dream, Aristotle speaks to Al-Mamun, all right? In their conversation, Aristotle assures Al-Mamun that reason, logical thinking, reason is logical thinking that science is based on, and revelation, which the Islamic faith is based in, can be combined for the good of the public. So here in this vision that, hey, yes, we are deeply religious people. Okay, we follow Islam. Islam means to be submissive, to submit to God, to submit to the will of God. We drop down and pray 5 times a day and facing Mecca. Okay, we can have those religious practices and at the same time advance on knowledge in science and in math and in medicine, reason and logical thinking. Those 2 things can happen. Now, guys, that's like a revelation, literally, like, whoa. Because at the same time, in another area of the world, directly north and east of the Middle East, was a period of the Dark Ages. We also call them the Middle Ages, the medieval period, where in Europe, this was not going on, okay? To a large extent in Europe, the lights were turned off. Not, of course, completely and not everywhere, but largely people were not interested in Greek philosophers anymore. People instead turned to their holy books, particularly the Bible, and everything was done in the name of Christianity. We didn't want to hear that the earth was not the center of the universe. Oh, no. Don't you bring that in my house. Clearly the earth is the center of the solar system. What are you kidding me? We're standing here. It's not moving. When I look in the sky, the sun starts all the way on this side, and by the end of the day, it has moved all the way on that side. Just like it says in our religious texts. How dare you suggest that the sun is the center of the universe and we are going around it? In fact, you better take that back or we are going to arrest you. We are going to excommunicate you from the church. Okay? So completely different thought process in Europe, the Dark Ages, compared to the Middle Ages, this golden age of Islam in the Middle East. Okay? All right, finishing the quote here, finishing the paragraph. Al-Mamun took this dream as a sign. So he's like, oh my God, Aristotle came and spoke to me. Al-Nadim wrote the following in the Theorist, explaining the impact of the dream. Okay, so this dream was one of the most definite reasons for the output of books. Between Al-Mamun and the Byzantine emperor, there was correspondence. So the caliph, the head of the Muslim area, the Abbasid Caliphate, wrote to the head of the Byzantine Empire, the emperor, and said, hey man, I'd like your permission to obtain a selection of old scientific manuscripts, okay, that you have stored in your country, in the Byzantines, okay? And of course, the Byzantine emperor was like, yeah, boy, you're crazy. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Okay. But after first refusing, he thought about it and said, okay, all right, fine. We'll lend it to you. So then Al-Mamun set forth a number of scholars, among them, okay, and I'll do my best with the pronunciation, Al-Hajjaj ibn Matar and Ibn al-Batrik and Salman, the director of the House of Wisdom. So we sent our main man in charge of the House of Wisdom, which we talked about yesterday in Baghdad, where all the scholars from all around the world, particularly when I say around the world, for them at that point, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, from Asia, from Europe, from North Africa, okay, would gather. And they selected books from those that they found and brought them back to Al-Mamun, and then he ordered them to be translated into Arabic. Okay, so this is pretty amazing because in other areas of the world, I don't know, we may or may not, history is one of those funny things. We don't know for sure what would have happened. But if the Arabic or the Islamic Empire the Abbasid dynasty, or caliphate, sorry, the Abbasid caliphate didn't take those steps, it is possible that we lose all those ancient Greek and Roman and Indian and Chinese texts. We might have lost them because at the time Europe wasn't too interested in it. Now we don't know. Maybe at some point Europe wakes up, which we know they do in the the late 1300s, beginning in the 1400s with the Renaissance. So maybe some European would have found those ancient texts and saved them. But without this amazing act, because of a dream that this caliph had, that Aristotle came and spoke to him in his sleep and said, hey man, combine your religion with knowledge. Okay, we may have lost that forever. All right, so number 3, based on the quote from the theorist at the end of this passage, how did Al-Mamun obtain Greek manuscripts for translation into Arabic? What did he do after he had his dream? Who did he write? Who did he correspond with? Anybody out there in CP world? Who did Al-Mamun write to and correspond with? To say, hey,
Byzantine Empire.
yeah, the emperor of the Byzantine, or you could say he corresponded with the Byzantine emperor. And the emperor lent him the texts. As simple as that for number 3. He corresponded.
Can you say it again?
He corresponded with the Byzantine emperor to obtain the ancient texts. All right, and that really should lead nicely into number 4. Based on what everything Mr. Lee just read and explained to you, what can we infer? That means what can we tell? You know, because we weren't really there. We can't travel back in time to see how it really was. We can only sort of educated guess based on writings that have been left from the time period. So what can we tell about life in Baghdad and the relationships between the Abbasid Caliphate and other political powers like the Byzantine Empire, different political power, different religion altogether, at the end of this century, at the 10th century. So what do you think life in Baghdad was like back then? Would you like to live there? Remember, this is where the House of Wisdom is stored. All the major scholars from around the world want to go to Baghdad and want to be in the House of Wisdom to correspond with other scholars. So what do you think life in Baghdad was like with all these scholars traveling to Baghdad? Think it was pretty good, or do you think it was a waste, barren desert? Would you rather live in Dark Ages Europe? Or would you rather live in enlightened period Islam?
Enlightened period?
Yeah, I think I would too. You know, here they're not only maintaining their religion, right? But they're saying, hey, along with our religion, let's make life better for us. Let's discover new ways of treating illness. Let's come up with hospitals. Let's figure out new surgical procedures that help and make people better. Let's learn from the Greek philosophers. What did they have to say? Because they lived for thousands of years. We can learn from their knowledge, and then we can take it a step further. Right? How about we can figure things out mathematically? Let's invent systems of numbers and math to help improve the quality of our lives. So there's your answer for number 4. I just gave you a ton of examples.
Can you repeat it?
I really can't repeat all that, no. After listening to me say all that, you can come up with a sentence or two. What do you think life like was in Baghdad? And what do you think the relationship was? Right? Obviously, it was probably pretty good because he said, can I get your ancient texts? And the emperor basically said, okay, sure. You know, if that was really your enemy and you really didn't trust him, you probably wouldn't work with them. All right, I'm gonna give you another minute to finish that up. And then we're going to jump into the second portion. What really led to the golden age of Islam during the Abbasid Caliphate. So it ruled for a pretty decent amount of time, from 750 to 1258. All right, that's a decent chunk of time. It's considered the golden age of Islam because it was a long period of stability in which centers of trade became wealthy centers of learning and innovation. So remember, guys, are you more likely, let me ask the question to the class, are you more likely or less likely to go to war with a country that is a good trade partner with you?
Less likely.
Yeah, why would you say less likely?
Because you want to trade with them, so why would you get in a war with them?
Exactly. Exactly, right? Like, hey, we mutually benefit from one another. We have a relationship. I benefit from you, you benefit from me. Why are we going to fight? We're not, okay? Not always a guarantee, but when you are a strong area that has many trade partners, okay, you become a stable region, less likely to go and have conflicts and wars with surrounding areas because they're benefiting from you. Why would they want to mess that up? Okay. Plus, because as you can see from the map here, as a result of its location at the crossroads of trade between Europe, Asia, and North Africa, the Middle East, and especially major trading and religious centers like Baghdad, Cairo, and Mecca, became prosperous cities that attracted merchants and scholars. So if you are a prosperous city, it's going to be sort of this positive loop cycle where, okay, if I'm a merchant, I'm obviously going to want to travel to the prosperous cities for a reason, because I'm going to find customers. I'm going to find people who are going to buy my merchandise. So when you are a prosperous city, first of all, because you have all these merchants coming and trading, you're going to gain wealth yourself as a city, okay? You're attracting all these good people from all over the area and in multiple cities here. We're talking Baghdad, which still stands today, Cairo, which still stands today, and Mecca, which is still around today, 2020. All right? Look where it's located. I mean, it's smack dab, right? Sort of in the middle of Asia, Europe, and Africa, particularly North Africa. All right. So just geographically, they're blessed, right? Just from like, there's where I live, being on this land happens to be convenient because these trade routes, as you can see here on the right, all ran through the Middle East. Call this, this is the Arabian Peninsula, and this is the country today of Saudi Arabia. Okay, Iraq over here, Iran, there's Turkey, gobble, gobble. Okay, so all these trade routes that you can see, all the various things that ran through these trade routes, and this is obviously not the only things that ran through, but what was traded: incense, perfumes, copper, ivory, wheat, textiles, which is woven fabric, cloth, spices, okay, among other things, porcelain, silk. All right, all through these trade routes. So these guys really control the trade routes. And as we've discussed many times, what else comes along trade routes besides goods, besides stuff? What else travels in trade routes? Anybody?
Religion.
Religion, absolutely. What else? What else travels besides stuff?
Weapons.
What's that? I didn't.
Weapons.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you again.
I think he said weapons.
Weapons, okay. Yeah, sometimes like if you start talking before you're fully unmuted, all we hear is up, right? So weapons, sure. What else besides religion? and weapons? How about various forms of technology? Hey, we invented this really cool compass in China, where we have this new system of clocks that we came up with. Ideas, politics, travel on trade routes, culture, food of different kinds. Ooh, what's that? Spice, right? All this, it's not just goods. Like a lot of us, when we think of trade, we think of stuff. We think of, okay, you give me apples and I'll give you oranges. It's not only just that. I bring my ideas. My brain is with me, okay? And again, it brings knowledge. Scholars flocked to Baghdad. Why? Because, hey, there's this little place called the House of Wisdom, and I want in. Sounds like an awesome place. If I'm a scholar, that seems like a place I want to be, okay? Now, Muslim scholars collected the writings of scholars from ancient Greece, classical Greece, Rome, India, and China. So again, it wasn't just ancient Greece. They collected writings from all the classical early ancient civilizations, and then they translated them into Arabic, and then took them a step further and tried to improve on the discoveries of the past. So many, many cool things. So identify 3 reasons why a golden age took place during the Abbasid Caliphate. We just named a bunch of them. All right, so you can either write 1, 2, 3 or bullet point in this little space provided. Why is the reason the golden age took place? Well, first of all, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Look where they're located. They're kind of in the center of 3 continents. So one reason would be they're sort of in the center of 3 continents. Or you can say the center of the Afro-Eurasian continent. And that implies Africa, Europe, Asia. Afro-Eurasia. So one reason, they're in the center of the Afro-Eurasian continent. And yes, that's technically 3 continents. But we can see it as one landmass, one continuous landmass. What's another reason? Trade. They were the center of almost every major trade route. And a third reason? House of knowledge. Scholars come from everywhere. You're Christian, cool, come on in. You're Jewish, cool, come on in. You're Hindu, yep, you're welcome. You're from China, cool. All are welcome here that are smart and bring knowledge. As they say, boys go to college to get more knowledge. Girls go to Jupiter to get what? Anyone know?
Or stupider.
No, I was gonna say a lot smarter than boys.
Oh, thanks.
That's such cap though.
What's that?
That's like a lie though.
Gavin, isn't that why you're texting me asking me for the answers?
No, not.
Oh, Gavin. Oh, she gave you right up.
Mr. Lee, I'm telling you, I'm not doing that right now.
I bet you. You're probably playing some game on your phone.
I'm not even, my phone's literally across the room right now.
And you're having her bail your butt out.
Nope, my room is literally
My
across
point.
my room right now. I will stand by it. She just did that to get me on my nerves. And
Proving a point that girls are always more on the ball than boys. I hate to admit it.
Yeah, I mean, but like, I'm just gonna stand by the fact that my phone's across the room and she's just doing that to get me mad. And
All right. I'm just saying this is being recorded and now everyone in the world will be able to partake in it.
I don't agree.
That's all right. We can have a little fun.
I know.
I know it's a lot listening to me talk about this. I'm hoping it's interesting to you. I find it interesting. But we're doing the best we can. It would be more fun if we were all in class together, that's for sure. And you wouldn't be just sitting there listening to me
That
talk.
is so true.
Yeah, we'd be doing like group work and it would be different. But hey, we're not going to cry about it. It is what it is. Here we go. All right. Film time, video time, movie time. Get your popcorn. Here we go. We're only going to watch the first 14 minutes of this, and we probably won't finish it today because we have 10 minutes. But that's okay. We're not in any rush. We're under no deadlines. As long as you are paying attention and getting the right information in. Obviously, we'll finish this today. You guys are going to submit this on Thursday. So don't delete it. Don't submit it early. Okay, keep it, keep it filled in. We'll probably get the first 3 questions done today, and then we'll finish it on Thursday. Remember, tomorrow you do have to log on, everybody. It's a different time, so log on to the Wednesday Zoom time that's on our Schoology page. And then you're going to be doing a current event article. I'm not going to keep you long. You're going to get on. I'm going to say, hello, attendance, get to work, let you go, and you should finish the entire article, current event article in the allotted class time, so then you don't have any homework. All right, so without further ado, here we go. What we're looking for is, according to the video, how did the location of Islamic empires affect their wealth and success? That's what we're looking for. Now, this is just a transcript, so don't be like, oh my God, and then we have to read all this. You can actually read this once we get to this timestamp in the video. This is actually a transcript. So you could technically answer this question without watching the video, but I think it's better to watch the video because there's like music and actors and scenes and things like that. I think it's more entertaining. All right, so here we go.
During the 7th and 8th centuries AD, a powerful new faith was about to change the world, the faith of Islam. Its followers launched a conquest not only by the sword, but with the power of ideas. 200 years after the death of Muhammad, his message and the new Arab Empire were transforming 3 continents.
So I know this is just the introduction. I know it's annoying when a teacher stops the video a lot, but it's worth noting that why Islam spread. Listen, if Islam was not a good idea, it wouldn't have spread as widely as it did. True, they were powerful. They were very good at winning wars and battling. But more importantly, why Islam spread is because people thought it was a good idea. People liked it. People liked it that they could be religious, but also at the same time improve the quality of their life through science and through math and through medicine and through philosophy. Okay, so war would take you so far, but then people got to believe in it in the movement, and they clearly did as it spread over 3 different continents.
Now comes a new empire, a political new configuration, driven by a religious and newly defined civilization. This new civilization expanding beyond its own dreams within a period of very short time. Literally, the largest empire civilization had ever known.
The Arabic word for conquest, fatu, literally means openings. Islam sowed the seeds of its faith to the 4 winds, and a world of opportunities opened before it. But the vast empire's spiritual core remained at its birthplace, the holy city of Mecca. From every corner of the Muslim world, the faithful embarked on the traditional journey to Mecca, a sacred pilgrimage known as the Hajj.
The pilgrimage became a central devotional and ritual feature in Islamic life. In fact, since the life of Muhammad himself, the pilgrimage has symbolized, probably more than any other Islamic ritual activity, unity among all people and equality.
The Hajj set humanity in motion. For the first time since the reign of Alexander the Great, cultures and caravans now flowed freely. Borders closed for 1,000 years opened.
Both ideas and goods went back and forth over incredible distances. Since every Muslim is enjoined once in his life to visit Mecca, it means that there were caravans carrying goods and pilgrims and ideas and people. And they all met together in Mecca once a year, and then things would radiate back home. So if there was an invention that was discovered in Samarkand, it could be within the year that it would be known in Cordova.
Where pilgrims trod, traders soon followed. Muhammad himself had been a man of commerce, and now the spread of his message brought with it the spread of trade and the Islamic way of life.
All right, so number one, according to the video, how did the location of the Islamic empires affect their wealth and success? Well, we even just said it earlier before we even watched the video. Because of their location, just geographically, bang, it is smack dab in the middle of the Afro-Eurasian continent. Okay, all roads run through the Middle East, essentially. Yeah, there's a few up here, Asia directly into Europe. Okay, but this land was not easily traversed. This was the roots. These were the roots. I mean, look at them all. Okay, so you guys should be able to paraphrase what I just said. I want to try to get away from Mr. Lee. This is a very middle school thing by me telling you exactly what to write. Okay, that works kind of for elementary school. It's helpful, but now you're big boys and girls. It's time to, you can take what I've said and write it in a sentence in your own words. So obviously the location of the Islamic Empire being in the middle of the Afro-Eurasian continent increased their wealth and success. Would be an answer that I would give. And young Mr. Lee in class probably would give a second sentence that explains why. You know, just because people travel through, does that necessarily mean it's going to affect your wealth? Not necessarily. But because your area became a center of knowledge, it brought many different types of people together, spending time in your city. And of course, you're going to increase wealth with all these merchants doing business. Increase your knowledge, power. All right, back to the video. So make sure you have number one answered for today.
Trade was incredibly important in the Islamic world simply because of its geographical position. It was, and still is, between West, what we call the West, and what people always called the East. So it was a natural land bridge connecting China to Europe.
And we weren't thinking of the Americas at that point, boys and girls. Okay, people were not very concerned in the 1200s, 1300s necessarily with the Americas over here. In fact, many of them didn't even know that that existed. We know that Vikings, you know, from Norway, made their way over. Finland, Sweden, okay, made their way over to the Americas. But at this point in time, Europeans, Muslims were not, you know, coming across the Atlantic Ocean. So really, that connected what we call the West to the East, or the East to the West. East is China, West is Europe. Okay, so the Middle East was, again, why it's the Middle East, right? It was that land bridge that connected. Stuff from China could get to Europe, stuff from Europe could get to China, and also Africa to both ways as well. All right, so I hope we've driven that point home quite strongly. All right, we have one more minute, so we're going to leave it there for today. So you should have up through number one answered. We will finish on Thursday, number 2 through 9, and that will complete the document that you submit. Okay, so don't delete this. It should automatically save on your Google Drive. Okay, don't submit it, but make sure you have down through number 1, because I am not going to be reviewing or going over number 1. And of course, you can rewatch this video later tonight in case you missed anything. You can go ahead and fill it out. If you want to work ahead, you certainly can. I will not stop you. And you can check your answers as we go over it live in class on Thursday. Tomorrow, you're just checking in for attendance. Current event article that you should be able to knock out during our class period tomorrow. And then we'll pick this up on Thursday, and we'll finish with Islam Thursday and Friday before moving on. That's the bell. Everybody have a good rest of your day.
I would